Living Local presents Biz Buzz 413 with your host, Jill Munson.
And before we get started with today's episode of BizBuzz 413, a couple quick thank you shout outs.
Cloud9 Marketing Group helps grow small to mid-sized businesses by utilizing digital marketing and social media. Cloud9 Marketing Group. Be accessible, be creative, and get results.
Tiger Web Designs. Thanks for making us look awesome on the World Wide Web. A thank you to my company, Pop More. Confidence coaching and training done differently. And of course, a huge thank you to livinglocal413.org. Welcome to BizBuzz 413. I am so excited. I'm your host, Jill Munson, and this show is part of the Living Local 413 initiative, founded by our fave local entrepreneur, Bill Cole. He's got this mission. And if you know Bill, you know about him and his missions. He wants to fuel local success through innovative strategies, meaningful connections, and accessible resources. And so what we're going to do every episode is we're going to talk with different people around Western Mass, the whole 413, all four counties, and really start to have some engaging conversations. Also catch some insightful stories, meet some new people. We're going to explore all the different stuff going on and what's concerning to businesses right here in the 413. I am inviting people. I don't know it all. Don't tell my wife I said that, but I don't know it all. So if you want to share your ideas or get involved, please visit us on the website, livinglocal413.org/bizbuzz, or you can email me directly at bizbuzz livinglocal413.org. And today we're talking about a topic that's really, really important to me, and I get to do it with a dear friend, so it's even more exciting. So I'd like everyone to help me welcome Allison Ebner, President of the Employers Association of the Northeast. Good day. How are you?
Hi, Jill. Good day to you. And I think you do know everything. I've yet to ask you a question or talk to you about something, and you don't know the answer. So I beg to differ. You do know everything.
I'm definitely going to keep you for good self-esteem. Thank you, Allison. The topic. So Employers Association. I'm going to start by asking you what the EANE for short, what you guys do. But the topic, because people are probably like, you said we had a topic, but you didn't mention it, Jill. It's about the workforce, right? Huge topic. And Bill has told me, as much as I like to talk, I got to keep these short. So we're only going to touch upon the surface. So I don't want people to think that this is all there is to do with the encompassing topic of workforce. But today we'll get started with Allison. But really, I think the first part is why you, and so what is the Employers Association of the Northeast? And really, what are you doing for the businesses?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Jill. And thanks for having me. And shout out to Bill Cole, too. He's doing amazing things. And we are happy to support him in all ways. So Employers Association, EANE, EAN, whatever you want to call us, we don't care as long as you call us. We support over 1,000 organizations across New England with their people process. That's a real simple way to put it. We help business leaders manage their state and federal compliance, their internal company culture, and their HR best practices. And we do that with our staff of 7 certified HR professionals and our learning and development team that provides all types of training, leadership development, professional development, and technology training.
It's amazing. I've always been blown away, and I got to shout out now my peeps. You've got Pam Thornton and Darlene, who both are just remarkable. Your whole team. I mean, I'm getting to know your team more and more, Michelle, and what you guys are able to do with how small your team is. But it's so important because I currently own Pop More, and as a small business, and previously in my old life owning my agency, there is so much that, and I thank you for saying I know so much, but there is so much you don't know, especially I think within that human, HR space, the human relations, human resources space. So I'm so grateful that you exist for small businesses. So thank you. Can we talk about people, workforce? Because
absolutely, yeah.
Do you feel like everywhere you go, like you don't even want to go to the big Y because people are like, "Hi, Allison, what's going on with workforce?" Right?
There's a lot to talk about, right? Because the robots aren't here yet. AI is here, but the bots aren't doing everything. So we've still got an awful lot of people that we need to build up and cultivate, right, in our organizations.
It's so perfect that you teased AI because actually, upcoming later in the season, I am speaking with an expert on AI and how AI can integrate with local business, but also, people there's that fear. But then there is the positives. And so we're going to have that whole chat coming up. But in the meantime, you're right. And I don't think, as far as I can tell, people aren't going away. We're going to always have people. The internet didn't wipe out, humanity. So it just feels like it did some days. Kidding. No, I think the question I have, and I read this awesome article that you had done about this topic, and that's really what made me start thinking about it. People keep saying, especially small business owners, they say the hardest part is the challenge is finding the people. And so I was like, okay, great. Cool. We know the challenge, but you and I are very much solution seekers. So, what are some of these creative solutions instead of just looking at the problem that people can start to do to possibly move through this? Because they do need to have team members. So, what are you suggesting people do?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI is not going to replace the people. And in fact, it's more important than ever that we are focusing on the human element of our
Mm,
organizations, right? Because the human element is going to be the folks and the intellectual capital that you have inside your organization, right? That's a fancy phrase to talk about your team and the talents of your team. They're the ones that are going to be using technology and AI to drive the business forward and really streamline things. But the
mhm.
human element is so important. So,
Right.
when you're hiring today, we are really asking people to focus on some of the new critical thinking skills,
Mm,
innovation mindset, and focusing on those types of skills when you're hiring. Maybe not the traditional look at their resume. Do they have a degree? Do they have certain skills? But really, focus on the attitude, the
mm.
ability for critical thinking, and again, that innovative mindset where you're open to being challenged and challenging how we're doing things today and really thinking about how we can do them better.
Right. I mean, because I think back to when I had my previous company, because I had a lot of employees, and I thought often about I could teach them to make the widget. That I could teach them, but I couldn't teach them showing up on time, or I couldn't teach them good customer service. I couldn't teach them that critical thinking, right? That had to come with some part of them, and then I could teach the fundamentals of the role. Is that kind of what you're hoping people can start to take away?
Exactly, right? And we're not talking about brain surgeons, right? And folks that have very specific skill
Right.
sets. We don't want to interview brain surgeons and say, hey, how are your critical thinking skills? Important, but we really want to know what you know in
Yes.
medicine. But for most people, for a customer service position, right?
Right.
For a lot of our key roles, we want them
Right.
to have basic competencies, but really focusing in on those. We used to call them soft skills, but they're not soft. They're power
Right.
skills. Really focusing in on those power
Ah.
skills is key.
I love that topic. It's actually, and as my company Pop More, I've it's a newer company, and I've been kind of figuring out, what my messaging is going to be. And I was saying into the marketplace, like I help employers and their teams understand those soft skills, all that EQ, the emotional intelligence, the other side of the operation. But I love that the power skills because you have the operational skills. Like I can't teach your people to build the micro tech, blah, 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 but I can help them to get along better with their coworker on the line, right? Those power skills. No, I love that. That's a great word. You're always coming up with cool phrases.
Well, it's probably not mine. I probably borrowed it from someone. I'm not sure who I borrowed that one from, or I'd give them a shout out, Jill.
Oh, I always say take credit. I mean, borrowing is good, but you just, you take the credit where the credit is due. And you're my local girl. Speaking of kind of cool phrases, and I know I sent you some questions in advance, but I'm going to flip around because you brought up this phrase. So you and I had coffee a while back. And you said something to me, and I don't know if you know how much you get in my head, but you do in a good way. You said that there was this term, conscious unbossing. And I'm going to say that again, conscious unbossing. Can you
Right?
explain what that is? Because people are like, I keep talking about it, and people are like, what is that? And I'm like, it's Allison. She's a genius. So tell me what that's about.
You bet. So it really is a phrase that stems from the demographics in our workforce today, right? We've
Okay.
got baby boomers leaving the workplace in
Hmm.
rapid numbers. We've got Gen Xers on their way out, right? Thinking about retirement. The average retirement age in the United States is 61 years old. That's not me, right?
Wow.
I've got a little ways to go.
I was gonna say,
Um,
yikes, I better get saving.
when you've got these, when you've got kids, they cost a lot of money, right? So these darling children that we're raising. So, but conscious unbossing is a term that stemmed from a very predominant millennial Gen Z workforce who has seen their parents kind of blood, sweat, and tears working for
Mhm.
organizations 50, 60 hours a week, then getting laid off after 20 years or 30
Mm,
years and
mm,
seeing that they don't want that for themselves. And they
mm,
think that management and leadership, honestly, is a struggle. We know it is. They're not wrong. And they're saying, hey, I want to have a good career for myself, but I want great life work balance. And managing people is just a pain in the butt. So I don't want it. And they're opting out early in their career, 51% of them, of saying, no, thanks.
wow.
I don't want to be a people leader. So you've got the people leaders who are heading for the retirement track, and you've got the millennials and Gen Zs who are opting out of leadership in great numbers. So I'm not sure who's going to be left, right, for that layer of leadership
Mm,
that's so critical in our organizations. And Jill, you're teaching a lot of leadership development skills and
yeah, yeah.
emotional intelligence. And we need those folks in our organizations to inspire people to keep things on track. And it's a concern that we've got a
Yeah.
couple of generations who are kind of hitting the pass button on management.
It's so fascinating. And this, I'll give another shout out because, well, quite frankly, I have the microphone. So I'm working a lot with Sunshine Village with Gina Koss, who she's a member of EA&E. And Gina is doing and I'm not just saying this because she's a Pop More client, but she's doing what I think is brilliant, which is she said when I first met with her like 2.5 years ago, she said, Jill, I have a very strong bench. She said, however, there is some work that this bench still needs to be able to exceed into management and to succeed once they get there. And so that's when she brought me in, and I'm working and I'm seeing it. It's amazing. Like she keeps posting all these promotions, and I'm like, yay, I'm a part of that. I hope, and it's very exciting. But I think that is such a key piece, right? Is finding within your current workforce who you might have that you see as your strong bench, but realizing that they might not have it all right now, but that there are tools, people, whether it's Popmore or whoever, EANE, there we go, who also does training. And we're all teaching and trying to help that upcoming, and it's not just generation, but that upcoming person to be able to step into that leadership role if they choose, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. And I will second and double down on your shout out to Sunshine Village
uh,
and Gina because she's made a conscious decision to make learning and development part of their DNA at
yeah.
Sunshine Village. And she is, I think, reaping the benefits of that decision. So I know you've done some training, we've done some training there.
Mhm.
But her entire philosophy around employee development is really key, and I think she's seeing a lot of success that some of the other regional nonprofit human service organizations haven't seen because of that investment she's
Yeah,
making.
I would agree. And again,
Yep.
not just because she's investing in people like us, but just because I'm talking every time I'm there, I'm talking with her team and they're saying that. They're saying, I would rather this than the pizza party. You remember those days when it was like, oh, I give my people a pizza party on, once a quarter. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what they're looking for anymore. That the reward systems have changed. And it's another thing, and we can talk about it on another show because I have one more question before we go. But I would say in a future episode, you and I should talk about how you need to talk with your employees about what their reward system wishes are. Because you, as the leader, can think the pizza party is the thing and they don't care. And some people think, oh, well, it's just, I give them a raise. Well, some people, they would rather acknowledgement. Not that money is not good, but everybody has these different needs in their reward bank, right? So we'll talk about that in the future. But Allison, my last question is I did this big article actually not too long ago for the Western Mass EDC, one of their industry insights, and it was on workforce. And I quoted you, and one of the things that I looked at a lot was this idea of out migration trends and the idea that, more and more people are leaving Massachusetts, not Western Mass, but Massachusetts as a whole, and what they're calling out migrating to other parts of our country or the globe. And some reasons we can't change, but there are some things that we can start to look at. So can you explain from your perspective in ENE, oh my goodness, Employers Association, way easier to say, in your role, explain what out migration looks like from what you're seeing in Western Mass, and then any thoughts on what employers here in the 413 can do to possibly start to mitigate some of that out migration?
Absolutely. So I think very simply, inbound, outbound migration sounds like a complicated thing. It's really not. What in simplified terms, it means across New England, in nearly every state, more people are leaving the state than are moving in.
Mm,
That does cause an issue for us as employers because the available population for work obviously is going to be less when you have more people leaving than coming in. So,
right.
really, what that means for us, Jill, is we've got to work on becoming better employers of choice. We
Mm,
can't control that outbound flow, that inbound flow. There's a lot that the states are doing to try to make things more appealing. Living in Massachusetts, living in Connecticut, certainly Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont have their challenges as well. But
mhm,
really, primarily in Massachusetts and Connecticut, there are lots of reasons people are moving south. The cost of living is less, the job opportunities are better and different. And I think it's, climate related for some of our younger folks who are like, hey, I don't need to shovel snow, right, in January and February. So many reasons why people are leaving. Not a lot of control that we have as employers. So we've got to look inward, control what we can control. And you just better look at your employee value proposition and have a
mhm.
better one than some of the other employers in the region so you are able to attract and retain that top talent.
Exactly. I said that recently. I said, the number one problem being, this out migration. I said, well, I can't grow babies. I mean, I could genetically, but I'm not going to. Like, I have the anatomy to do it, but I'm not making any babies. So in the meantime, we can keep the babies we have here as happy as we can. And I think, this is what I'll say. My sister-in-law lives in Texas and it is blazing hot, 105 the other day when she was out walking. So it's not always better. The grass is not definitely not greener, it's brown. And then secondarily, we barely have any snow here anymore, folks. So stay and enjoy all the great things that we do have in the 413 because there is a lot. So Allison, before I let you go, how can people find out more about the Employers Association, maybe if they're interested in becoming a member or getting into some of these trainings that you're talking about?
Yeah, we're found very easily online at www.eane.org. People can reach out to me directly. My email is aebner, EBNER, at eane.org as well. So
You
would
say
love
that
to
it like
chat
rolls
with you.
right off your tongue. I'm like like
We say it a
20
lot, right?
20 years of radio and I can't get four letters out. Come on, Jill. EANE. Yes. Allison Ebner, thank you so much for being part of BizBuzz 413. So, folks, I am Jill Munson. We are trying to bring you the topics that you want to hear. So, what that means is I need you to tell me, what do you want to hear? So, send them on over, go to our website, or feel free to email me at bizbuzz@livinglocal413.org. And until next time, just remember, we do live in one of the best parts, I would guess, of the entire globe, the 413.
Biz Buzz 413 was brought to you by Living Local.